Good morning. I am so grateful each one of you are here for our weekly Facebook Live. We are so delighted to have you here. There are so many questions about the future, about our future, about how America will look like with the coronavirus epidemic. Many of your questions underline this situation. Unrest is everywhere, not only in America, but all over the world. It's hard to find a positive or an encouraging news in a news media today. In the midst of riots and many changes in America, many of you said to me that you feel crushed at every side. You ask yourself what next the rest of the year or next year would look like. The battle is real in our lives. Surely you are wondering, when will life return to normal? I imagine that many people before us ask that question. And I want to share with you a very important story from the Bible of Daniel and the three Jewish people, young people, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and what I learned from their lives and from their perspective. The reason I am sharing with you is because I don't want to share with you a story. I want to show you that the God of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, my God, who helped me in Romania and helps me every single day, will help you, and you need to trust him. I imagine Daniel, like I said, questioning when life will return to normal. Daniel, and as a Jewish teenager, together with his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were forced into a new normal style of life in one single day. We read about them in the Bible in the chapter of Daniel. In 605 BC, the Babylonians conquered Israel, and with that, Daniel and his friends were forced to leave Israel and to live far away from Israel in Babylon for many years. How do you live and even thrive in a new life, new normal, when your life that you knew is taken away? Where do you turn for answers and assurance? Daniel and his friends are telling us that they trusted God and fully place God as first in their place, in their lives. Through their experience, and I will share my own experience too, in our new normal way of life, we can trust God because he is in control, and we can also learn to trust him in every area of our lives. Many of you ask or wonder, God, why do I have to go through this? When will life return to normal? You might be surprised. For many of you that read my book, Saving My Assassin, you might be surprised that I asked this question, God, why do I have to go through this? When will life return to normal? Many times in my life. In fact, after I accepted Christ in socialist Romania, that this question became more frequently asked by me to God in my life. I grew up in socialist Romania under dictator Nicolae Ceausescu, who declared himself God and required us to worship him alone. And as an young attorney, I fought against him, who put Christians in jail, confiscated Bibles, and did many horrible things that you will find out in my book, Saving My Assassin. I defended Christians, and many of my cases became part of the United Nations reports and part of United States reports on human rights violations. And for that reason, because I exposed him to the world, he arrested me, tortured, beaten, interrogated, put me under house arrest, and I came within seconds of being executed by the assassin who sent him to my office to kill me. After years of fighting against the socialist government, I was exiled to America, and I came here empty-handed, not knowing one word in English. And I faced another firing circumstances to rebuild my life. With God's grace, I did that. As I came to United States, I came with my family and 2 kids, and I was pregnant with my son. Soon, I found out another firing circumstances. I found myself as a single mom, raising 3 kids. Today, I found myself facing another not normal circumstances where my business, like many of your businesses, are closed. We cannot work because of the coronavirus and many, many other situations. But I learned that in every situation, I can trust God and fight, knowing that He is with me in every firing circumstances, and to let Him work in me and accomplish His mission for my life, the mission to honor Him and glorify Him in every circumstances. I want to share with you 3 lessons that God taught me through Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And I hope those 3 lessons will help you, that I learned, that helped me all my life. And I hope they will help you and they will encourage you. The first lesson is to stand up for what is right, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel, under any circumstances. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were not willing to compromise their principles or bow down to their other gods, but to worship and being faithful only to God. We might not experience the fiery furnace, but we might feel the heat of not doing what the culture requires us to do, or what others or even the government might ask us. However, we must stand up for what is right, because God is with us and He will protect us. He will bring miracles in our lives. As a child of God, He will guide us in everything that we will do. And make no mistakes, doing God's will or our will have consequences, big consequences in our lives. So we must choose to do God's will and what is right, no matter the firing furnace in front of us. The second lesson that I learned, and I hope will encourage you, is that as a child of God, I am never alone. In the firing furnace, in my trial, when you will read my book, Saving My Assassin, you will agree with me that God was with me, not only in Romania, but here in the United States, right now, in every circumstances. And as you read the story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you will know that in those days, prisoners like them were having their hands and feet bound. They were not able to move. They were not able to go into the fire. In fact, they were thrown into the fire. So don't be surprised when the culture will bound you down and will try to throw you into the fire if you stand up for Christ. But pay attention. When they were thrown into the fire, people that did that, watching them, were able to see God and God's presence with them. More than that, after they were taken out of the fire, those people were able to see the miracles in their lives, that their bodies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's body, became immune in the natural force of fire. Not a single hair or the garment were burned or decolorated. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not even smell smoke. They experienced God as everyone was able to see them, and others were able to see them. And remember, they were tied up, but with God in the firing furnace, that bound, that tide was destroyed. Christ make them free. So when your bills comes to you and you have no way of or thinking way of paying your bills, you have no way of apparently finding a job, you might be laid off, or when your doctors tells you the worst report possible, you are not alone. God is with you. It might seem like you have nowhere to turn, no one to talk, but God is always with you. In the midst of fire, the storm that you are facing, God is with you and He will protect you. God will give you the comfort and the lesson that you will receive during this period of time. You will comfort others. As I faced my assassin pointing a gun into my office that was sent by the dictator to kill me, I was frightened. I was absolutely terrified by his action, and I believe that he was there to kill me. But by the grace of God and by His love in me, I knew that Christ in me was more powerful than his gun. I shared the gospel with him, and he accepted Christ. Later, he wrote a chapter in my book, and he wrote this in my book. I'm reading to you. When I entered Virginia's office that afternoon, I felt alive, ready to kill and move up in my career. My intention was to kill Virginia, but God's intention was to breathe life into me through her life. As I followed Virginia in her office, I thought first about struggling her, but then I decided would be more enjoyable to frighten her by showing her my gun. I watched Virginia's reaction ecstatically. She was scared. I could read that on her face. Then, as Virginia calmly shared the gospel with me, I was the one who was frightened of the peace and the power that came from such a petite person who could not have weighted more than 100 pounds. And before I knew what happened, I was overwhelmed by the love embedded in every word that Virginia said. I don't know how she did it, but she made me want her God to be my God. Then she prayed for me. This is our God. This is how He is present, how He equips us during the time that we are in our trial, our firing furnace. Our deliverance from the firing trial of our life will be a lasting testimony for our God and for His faithfulness to us and to everyone, including our enemies. If you go to trial, if you go to any kind of fire, financial, emotional, physical, relationship, your business, never stop praising God when you came out of the fire, and let others see what God is able and capable to do. The third lesson that I learned is this: my future, my business, and my legal profession that was in God's hands, not in government's hands, not in even the most powerful and cruel dictator that I had to confront. Promotions come from God, who is sovereign over everything, including our lives. Promotion and rewards will follow your time in the fire. In Daniel 3:30, we read, then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher position in Babylon, and they prospered greatly there. Remember, in the midst of adversity and difficulties, God has you there because he desired to promote you for greater use for his kingdom. Always remember who brings promotion in your life. You might be in a situation where your business is collapsing, or you don't have a job, you don't know how to pay the bills. Remember that God is in control of your future, of your business, of your financial situation. Your promotions come from God. He gives you the power and the favor with people around you, in your business, in your relationship, in your profession, knowing that God brings promotion into your life, that he is in control, will comfort us and will give us confidence and trust in him in the age of economic uncertainty in which we live. Armed with this, with the word of God and with his promise, and never forget Jeremiah 29:11, who said, for I know the plans I have for you, declared the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Friends, I was isolated, and I live behind the curtain, the Berlin Wall. Nobody humanly was possible to know about me. Dictator believed that he was in control of my life. I was isolated, that he considered, behind the Berlin Wall. But God made my faithfulness and my legal work available and known to people all over the world. Television, radios, congressmen of United States, president of United States. This is our God. Do not ever consider that you are alone. Armed with this knowledge that God has a plan for your future, that his angels are going to be before you, above you, behind you, it's easier to put your head down on the pillow at night and fall asleep and have a restful sleep. Our rest and our peace should come from God, from his love, care, and wisdom, leadership, and guidance in our life, knowing that he has a purpose for us. Those lessons that I learned from Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, about how powerful is our God, helped me to see Christ in the very current circumstances in my life when I was arrested, tortured, and interrogated by the government in socialist Romania. As my interrogator tortured me, hit me or my head to the table, or hit me to the walls, unknown to them, they pushed me into the wall, but in fact, they pushed me in the loving hands of Jesus Christ. He was there with me, and he was there to embrace me, to encourage me, and even to tell me to show them the love of Christ. So as I look into my interrogator's eyes, full of blood, they were fearless, and they were ready to kill me. And I share the gospel with them, and I share that Christ loves them. They had to turn their face from me because they were crying. Christ in me showed me, showed them, show me that I can love my enemies and also show them Christ. I was 82 pounds, almost 25 years old, and under 5 feet tall. My interrogators were strong, powerful, having gone motivated to kill me and move up on their career. But Christ in me was more powerful to conquer them as I shared his love. I faced my firing furnace with God, and I came out unharmed by my enemies and by their fire. I was not killed by them. Moreover, my enemies were able to see Christ in me. It was not easy, but it was possible, absolutely possible, and done in God's power and for his glory. If you would like to learn more about or be trained on how to remain faithful to God under any of your circumstances or trials, go to virginiaprodanbooks.com and contact us. We will send you more teaching material that will help you. You also can send us your questions, concerns, or your comments. To summarize for you, in every trial or fiery furnace circumstances we are facing with an opportunity to experience God and God's presence in a way that we never experienced before and make him known to many. God will walk with you in the fire, and he will make us partner with us, and he will help others to know him. In each trial or opposition, there is a great opportunity to expose God's power in us. Please understand that God needs a hand when it's tied, when you feel like there is no way you can accomplish anything, that it's impossible, then God will show up. So submit to Christ and let him do the rest. Remember that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego did not defend themselves against the king. They were just submitting to Christ, and then they watch Christ, God, do everything in their lives, including miracles. And God was exposed in their lives. Third, our future is in God's hands. Our promotions, our resources come from God, and they will come and they will follow you in your life after you are faithful to God. The world might try to denigrate us, to force us to do things against God, even try to kill us. But the opposition on the trial is in fact an opportunity for us to show who we are in Christ, to strengthen us, to remain on God's promises, and to encourage us, and for many to see Christ in us and his power in our life. Remember, you will walk through the fire. You will not be killed, but you will watch others being killed. I watched the dictator being killed by his firing squad. He believed that he had power to kill me. You will see and experience Christ in the fiery furnace circumstances like never before in your life, and the world will take notice of that. You will come out of the furnace without any harm, and rewards will follow you. God, the creator of the universe, wants to teach us, you and me, and equip us to rule our culture in his power as we live in it, not to be victim of our circumstances or our culture. Our courage and boldness come from the presence of Christ in us and in our trials. Christ controls everything. If you would like to learn more and be trained in being faithful to Christ in any of your circumstances or trial, please go to virginiaprodanbooks.com/contact and send us your questions, your concern, and we will send you more material. Until next time, next Facebook time, and remember we do Wednesday morning and Saturday morning, both at 10 o'clock Central Time. Be strong and courageous. Your courage will encourage others. Trust God, trust Christ, who will be with you in every trial. Believe and achieve your destiny in Christ. Be a victor, never a victim of your circumstances. May God bless you, and may God make you, because he wants to make you strong and courageous. I hope you trust him and you will walk with him in the fire of your circumstances, and you will come out more than a conqueror. May God bless you. Bye-bye.